Hello, divine creations, divine marvels, children of God. Hello, hello. Thank you for dropping by this video. This is going to be one of the, maybe the most interesting videos I've ever made. I'm just looking now, I've made almost 1,500. Maybe 2 or 3, maybe 300 or 400 of those are meditations, tuning ins. Almost 1,000 of me speaking. And I'm wondering if this one may be one of the most interesting. I hope it's one of the most helpful. Hey, Jason. So what I have to say is fasten your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen, because we're going to go on a little ride. So I'm going to just share, maybe in a way I haven't before, my journey with these teachings. And it's been wonderful, and it's been really intense. What brought me to the teachings of Bruno Groening was I'd done a lot of spiritual exploring, a lot of meditating, and what I noticed was that nothing really worked for long-term periods with me. A lot of self-help, a lot of holistic health, lots of things gave me short-term benefit, but nothing really provided long-term wellness, really. And so at a certain point, I tried psychiatric medication. A lot of it was emotional, mental turmoil and addictive tendencies. And so I tried different psychiatric medications, and they hadn't really seemed to do anything, but I kind of ran out of options. And in 2006, after having tried so many different things, maybe almost for over 10 years to find peace and health and wellness, I started to get kind of serious about psych meds. I kind of felt like I was out of options. I hadn't found the teachings of Bruno yet. That was 2012. And so then I kind of was on a small dose of it for a while. And then I actually, in 2009, I almost took my life 3 times. And then I got very serious about psych meds. And it actually served me. I got on high doses of psych meds. I put aside pretty much everything spiritual. I just didn't even meditate anymore. I just got really kind of, in essence, I kind of got normal. I found some work that was very grounding. I did a lot of martial arts. I was involved in a 12-step program. And I just didn't think about spiritual things, minus really basic things like trusting in God, being grateful. But I wasn't serious about such things. And for a couple of years, it really worked. I had the three of the most stable, peaceful years of my adult life. And the diagnosis was bipolar 2, which is a less severe version of manic depression, where you have intense highs and intense lows. Well, bipolar 2 was kind of moderate highs and then lows. And it seemed to be a reasonably accurate diagnosis. The medication really did help. However, it really started to have many negative health impacts. And that's what led me to the teachings of Bruno Groening, is the meds stabilized me and were literally keeping me alive, because I'd almost taken my life multiple times. But then now they were destroying my physical health. So I found the teachings of Bruno Groening and was very skeptical. I'd put aside, as I said, all kind of spiritual things, but I was open and I was impressed by some of the testimonies that I read. That I saw and then heard. I heard people sharing their testimonies of healing. So I've described my journey into that. I was kind of closed-minded. I was open but skeptical. But then I had my first healing, and then after that, healing after healing after healing after healing, I also did some gazing with Bratzo. Many people who are into Bruno Groening are into Bratzo, and I had a healing there. And within about a 6-month period, I went from really, I was stooped over. I was wearing an eye patch and sunglasses. My health was horrible. I couldn't even decrease the medication a little bit. In about a 6-month period, I was completely changed. And part of the reason why I was completely changed is because of my eye troubles. I literally I had to sit for hours every day with my eyes closed. And so at a certain point, I just started tuning in. And then at a certain point, I was tuning in 2 to 3 hours a day, every day. And healing after healing after healing after healing, including the bipolar. Got off the psych meds. And I felt well and happy and full of energy and really vital. In some ways, that was the best, the happiest period of my life. So let's pause there for a moment, and this is going to be a sharing of my journey, but let's also not forget what's at the root of everything that Bruno Groening taught. What really the root is trusting in God, and then from that trust, being connected and taking in the energy of God. So let's take a little time and do that now. So some people say to me, "Oh, you're so committed to Bruno." It's thank you, and you should have seen me back then. I wasn't just committed; I was on fire. And then I heard people talking about getting messages from Bruno, hearing Bruno's voice, and I'm like, I want that. Why is that not happening to me? I was having all these amazing healings, full of life energy. I was so happy. I really felt saved. Not in the religious sense of the word, but my life had been saved. I was truly grateful. And then to boot, I was happy. I was really happy for the first time in my adult life. And then I was walking in my car one day, and I started to think about, I would really love to have a really profound spiritual relationship. Years ago, that had been like I was really into this idea of spiritual relationship, two spiritual people who support each other in their growth and do healing work together. Like that had been my dream for so long, but I just kind of let that go because I'd had physical, emotional, and mental health. But as I was feeling well, that dream came back to me. And then I heard a voice, and the voice said, that will be, I forget the exact words. It was something like, reconnecting with that desire will be the deepest healing. And it sounded German, and it like they had a German accent, and it reminded me of Bruno's voice. I was like, I finally got a message from Bruno. I've heard all these people talking about getting messages from Bruno. I'm like, yes, I got a message from Bruno. And what a cool message too. Like, that'll be the deepest healing. Wow. I was just so stoked. So, and then something also really interesting was starting to happen is I was starting to get interest from women. Like, I had women expressing interest in connecting with me. Now I've dated, I've had some relationships, but most of my adult life I was single. My mental and emotional and physical health were a mess. And so to have multiple women expressing interest in me was, that was like, talk about it. All the physical healings were cool, but I was like, wow, Bruno, you can do anything. Like, nothing is impossible. Because all those years of being mostly single, I had this story of like, oh, I'm never gonna meet someone, and so I literally had like 3 or 4 in a very short time. I won't say a short time, but in a short period of time, I started to have a couple different people really interested in me that I was interested in, and started exploring one of those connections, and had a really kind of a romantic friendship. I was clear that we weren't going to be partners, and we kept it platonic, but there was so much love between us. It was so good. And then I met yet another woman, and so now I think I lost track. I think I had 4 or 5 like interests and people who were interested in me, and but let me back up. And one of the women I met, oh my God, oh my friends, this person was like a dream come true. I won't use her real name. I'll call her Anna. Oh my gosh, the sweetest heart I've ever come across. Very spiritually awake. Wow. Very, very awake, and very like integrated. Some people who are really awake, and I struggle with this sometimes, are not the most grounded. But this person was really grounded, embodied. She was very embodied in her had a great sense of humor, was spontaneous, intelligent, witty, poetic, soulful. And as if all of that is not enough, she was stunningly physically beautiful. And she was interested in me. And, I'm the guy who I thought I was going to die single. So I was really excited to get to know her. And then I met another person. Oh my gosh. Welcome to those who joined in. To those who are joining in, I just had a couple people join in the last couple of minutes. This is not the typical community hour. You're welcome to hang around. Oh my gosh, we just got some more people in. And it may help to, you may want to watch this video from the very beginning. But here you are, and I'm just going to keep going. So I met another person who seemed radically awake. I will call her Lynn. So I was getting to know all these different women, and then one day while talking to Lynn, she said she was kind of one of those people who sees visions a lot, and she said, "Oh my God." She said, Mother Mary is tying together our heart chakras. I didn't know what to think of that, because I'm not the kind of person who sees things. There are some spiritual people who claim to see all different types of things, like masters and angels and energy, and that's just not one of my gifts. Every now and then, but it's very, very rare. Very rare. And so in that moment, I thought, oh my God, it must be true. like it didn't occur to me to like, is that true? I just thought, wow, um, that must be true. And interestingly enough, I had really connected with Mother Mary just a couple years before. I wasn't raised Catholic, but I just had the utmost respect for her as a helper. I kind of saw her in a similar light to Bruno as like a fierce helper. And I didn't really think about it. And I was just like, oh wow, well, if Mother Mary has tied our heart chakras together, then we must be destined to be together. And next thing you know, then I'm remembering this message I got from Bruno, and I thought, oh my God, this has got to be the one. And she claimed that she was enlightened, that she had had a permanent dissolution of her ego, and I believed her. And so. So let's take a moment and take in some more divine energy. And some of you are probably already sensing the punchline, which is and Bruno himself taught this, that we have to check every thought that comes to us. Actually, I'm just going to share the punchline now. We have to check every thought that comes to us. That includes thoughts that we think come from Bruno Groening, thoughts we think come from God, thoughts we think come from Jesus. And we have to check everything that anyone tells us. I'm not saying we have to be suspicious, but we have to check in with our conscience. Is it true or not? I didn't do that with this message I heard that I assumed was Bruno Groening. In hindsight, I'm utterly convinced it wasn't. But we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. And I certainly didn't check in with this vision that Lynn was allegedly having. I just assumed it was true. And then I made up a meaning about it. So Bruno wasn't kidding when he said you have to check every thought to see whether it is worthy to be taken up, because thoughts are forces. And so by taking in the thought, Mother Mary's tying our heart chakras together, we must be destined to be together. That thought then compelled me to a certain course of action. And that's how thoughts operate. There's a saying in post-World War II Germany that Bruno was very critical of, and the saying was, thoughts are tax-free. People were so impoverished, but they had this kind of idea in Germany of like, well, at least we can have our thoughts for free. And Bruno was very adamant that this was not actually accurate. Like, yes, they don't cost money, but they have a high cost, especially untrue, unhealthy thoughts. I learned this lesson the hard way. So let's take a little time and take in some divine energy. Being mindful of our thoughts. Noticing what you feel. So thoughts have effect. Don't believe me? Watch your thoughts and then watch your actions. Preceding almost every action we do, there's a thought we said yes to. So I said yes to the thought that this was a destined relationship. Next thing, and so that set forward um, a whole sequence of events and a whole a number of different actions. One of them being calling Anna up on the phone and letting her know that in essence I wasn't available to connect any further. Anna, the one of the purest, most one of the beings that has touched my heart most deeply in the world. Um, um, I'm on the verge of tears as I talk about it. So this is a very dramatic example of why Bruno called us to watch our thoughts. As Bruno said, a good thought constructs, a negative thought destructs. And it's not just the effect, the stress of a thought, or the good feeling of a thought, it literally leads us to action. So I wish I had said this at the beginning. The reason why I'm doing this is, Bruno called on us to not talk about illnesses until they're healed. And so I've wanted and needed to say many of these things for a long time, and I haven't because I was trying to honor that. And I am going to honor that. I'm not going to mention any unhealed illnesses, but I am going to tell my story because my story, and I'm hoping people can learn from it, but truly what I'm going to be sharing is truly the story of salvation and falling into temptation. I should just I'll call the video series Salvation and Temptation because that's what I'm going to be sharing. So I'm going to pause here. Thank you for the beautiful comment, Jason. And the other reason why I'm doing these videos is because I feel that it's dishonest in a sense for me not to, if I'm going to continue sharing the teachings of Bruno Groening, I feel I'm at the place where I have to share my, not just the teaching, but my own personal journey with the teaching. It's not like this channel is going to become all about my personal journey, but I've been under-talking. I've under-talked about that out of the wish to honor Bruno's really strong, not quite a demand, but to not talk about problems until they're solved. So I'd like to thank everyone for joining in. I'm going to close up part one here with a final tuning in. Thank you for saying hi, Jason, and for your beautiful comments. And so yeah, let's sit for a minute or two together. really grateful for this evening. We're right now there's 6 of us on here, and we're spread all around the world. And sure, it's my face, and I just see at the top of my screen. I don't know what it looks like on your screen. There's a number there's like a people symbol, and there's 5. And Jason's the only one who said hello, so he's the only one I know. I know by name. I don't see the names of other people. I just see a number. But I'm right here, right now. I'm really grateful to be connected in this way with 5 other people. And hi, Andrew. Thanks for saying hello. And in this channel, not just the teachings of Bruno Groening, but this channel means a lot to me. It really, really means a lot to me. And so this is just part 1. By the end of this, I hope that you'll understand how much a gift all of you are to me. So thank you so much for joining in. Actually, I'm going to change it. This is going to be part 2. You'll see. It'll all make sense. Thank you so much for joining in. Big love, and let's keep tuning in. And there's I'm going to play one of my favorite songs. And I found this song. I think I found this song after Bruno, or I found it either right before or after. So I think it's not all the lyrics, but the main message of it. It's pretty apropos. Please let me know how the volume goes.
At Aspen Dental's Everyday Smiles event.
There we go. Not yet, and tell me how the volume is in a moment.
Just a small town girl living in a lonely world. She took the midnight train going anywhere.
Just a city boy, born and raised in South Detroit. He took the midnight train going anywhere.
Singer in a smoky room,
A smell of wine and cheap perfume. For a smile they can share the night. It goes on and on and on and on. Strangers waiting up and down the boulevard. Their shadows searching in the night. Street light people living just to find emotion, hiding somewhere in the night. Working hard to get my feel. Everybody wants a thrill. Paying anything to roll the dice. Just one more time. Some will win, some will lose. Some are born to sing the blues. Another movie never ends. It goes on and on and on and on.
I never really understood that song until right now. The "Don't Stop Believing" part is clear.
In collaboration with
Oops.
USF Health.
But it's actually a song about people who are down and out. Street life people. Roll the dice one more time. And I think that's the message that's the kind of the final message of Bruno Groening is don't stop believing. In fact, he very specifically said, no matter what form when Satan's ugly, I'm paraphrasing, rears up his ugly head, no matter what form it shows up, to maintain the faith that the good will prevail. No matter what. That's what Bruno calls us to. That's what Christ called us to. Any true mystic would calls all of us to trust in the good. And that's actually what this journey I'm sharing about is, finding faith and losing it, and my journey to find my way back. And I love the name of the band of the original is Journey. That was Don't Stop Believing, performed by Glee. All right, friends. Thank you so much for joining in. And over the next couple days, I'm going to continue to tell the next part of my very wonderful and my very strange journey with these teachings. Take care. Much love.